I like myself a good intrusion, home invasion movie. See what I did there with the title? And Panic is like one of my favorite, most well filmed films. It's just so intense. But is this one any good? Let's find out. A woman moves to a small town with her husband, but is rattled when she is targeted for a home invasion. Once again, IMDb coming in with the amazing synopsis not. Basically, a couple moves to a new house that her husband has created for them to live happily ever after. And there is a break-in and that rattles them, so the story kind of evolves around why there is an intrusion. At the same time, there's stuff going on with a local town and these stories collide, and obviously there's more that meets the eye to this couple, to this town. Otherwise it wouldn't be an intrusion story. Part of the fun about watching intrusion films like Panic, like Hush, is that you want to guess what has happened, and you're really hoping that you're not going to guess, that the twist is going to be energetic enough and different enough that it's going to keep your attention. Unfortunately, this is not that film. Pretty much from the get-go, you are going to guess every single thing that is going to happen in this movie. I mean, I guessed the major plot points, the major persons of interest, and what was going to happen at the end, literally in the first 5 minutes. So once you guess that, once you settle in your mind that you know what's going to happen in this film, then you may enjoy parts of this film. For the most part, the acting is fine. There's some really creative camera work. There are some forced camera movements to make you feel something. There are a couple of jump scares, again, to force you to feel that there is an intense situation going on. And there's music to heighten that mood, to try and get you in that zone. Unfortunately, we don't get into that zone because we don't really feel much connection to our characters. I'm speaking for myself. I think a lot of people are going to relate to this, is that they haven't built a character basis or a couple bases for you to care for them. So by the time you get to stuff that's happening, you kind of want the film to end. And talking about that, there are multiple places where I thought this film was going to end, much like Return of the King. I feel like I'm referencing that film and its endings because a lot of films are doing that thing where you think the film's going to end and then it doesn't. Sometimes that's a bonus. This time it's not. I was literally halfway through the film when I pushed the pause and thought, this is ending now, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's another 45 minutes left of this film. What are they going to do with this storyline? I guess I know where it's going to happen now, but I really thought it was going to wrap up in 5 to 10 minutes and we're going to have that climactic ending with the characters that you guessed, and it dragged it out for another 45 minutes. Like, none of this I needed. There are parts in films when, even if you're not like a filmmaker yourself, you will watch a film and you're like, well, that scene isn't needed and that scene isn't needed. And if it shouts that at to you and you're not a filmmaker or you haven't been in the industry, then I think it's doing something wrong. There's this saying in film industry, if you don't need it, if it doesn't further the plot in any way, then it's gratuitous for elongating the storyline length or the film length. You can take it out. If you can take it out, it will help the story. And I feel like that was much needed in this story. There were shots, angles, I just thought, wow, this whole kind of storyline didn't need to be needed. I didn't need to see that. You could have said that in one line. And that is the issue. So when you're not crafting storylines for us, the audience, to really enjoy or relate to what's going on, if you don't care about the protagonists, then you're trying to force yourself to watch something that perhaps might be good enough to look at in story. So maybe you don't like the protagonist so much, but maybe the story is great. But when it's all guessable, then you're really going to struggle with this one. So the score is fine, although forced. The angles, the way it looks, the cinematography is good, although it forces you to feel something that you're probably not feeling. The acting is good with what they had in storyline and dialogue. It's very generic, and you've seen this film done 100 times. I would say go watch one of those again. Nothing against this director or actors. I think they're fine. I just think this story was particularly subpar, and I wouldn't be doing you a service if I wasn't honest. There has been some shocking Netflix original movies. This is one of them. It's not like the worst film you're ever going to see, because that would be in the lines of Larmageddon, although that film is hilariously fun to watch. This is going to be in my D column. I'll give it a D plus because there are moments that I enjoyed. There were moments that I thought I might be getting a little something out of it, and then it just took away everything because I guessed absolutely everything. It's also a 12, so it doesn't lean into that adult where you could have gone a bit more gorier. So it tries to encompass all, like, a huge demographic, which means they couldn't really lean that much into the horror or the thrillerness of it because they had to keep language, gore, all to a minimum subpar. That's not to say that you can't do a really great horror, because I think in the UK, Panic Room was a 12 originally, and then they did a director's cut and was a 15. There are definitely films that have managed to capture the thriller. It's just how you execute it, and for me, this wasn't executed very well. Let me know in your comments below of what you thought about this film. What is your favorite thriller invasion, house invasion film? I know there's a few that have done it well and a few that have not done it well. Thanks so much for watching this, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long on Tuesday.